guys, what's going on? Jebb here, and in today's video, we got a great show lined up for you. We are not only going to be talking about the Federal Reserve and the announcement that they're going to be making today at 2 p.m. about whether or not they are going to be raising interest rates from 0.25%, which would theoretically be a very good thing for the dollar, but if they leave them low, as many people think that they're probably going to do, it may end up being a very bullish, very good thing for Bitcoin. We got a lot to talk about with the Federal Reserve again today. I know we talked about it yesterday. We're going to go into more detail today because this may be the one major implication for the price of Bitcoin in the month of December. How the Fed decides here in only about 4.5 hours is going to have a huge impact on the Bitcoin price over not just the next 30 days, but also over the next 30 years as the US dollar continues to underperform. We got a great show lined up for you. We're going to be doing some TA on Bitcoin, on Ethereum. We're also going to be looking at Solana. At the top of the hour, we're going to be jumping into some altcoins as well. I am joined, as always, by TA Tim. How you doing, Tim?
I'm doing all right. I am here and I am ready. Had a good workout this morning with old Smainold, but again, as we decided, outside of this room, we are friends. As soon as we walk in these four walls, we're
we hate each other.
Yeah,
so.
this goober.
Boom sauce.
Yeah.
Well, before I introduce Smay, I actually want to introduce our researcher, writer extraordinaire, T-Shroom. How you doing, T-Shroom?
I'm doing great.
Whoa! What?
Whoa, we got a new angle.
Oh, what's up, T-shirt?
What's up, T?
It's good to be here, and it's nice to have this piece right here in front of me.
Oh,
Yeah,
there you go.
it's
Good timing. Good timing on that. You won the Huddle Trophy for your first episode, your first live appearance here on the channel.
You
But
got today and tomorrow left.
let's introduce the man who made it possible, Smay. How you doing, Smay?
Hello, everybody. I just want everyone to be prepared. There might be some random switches here and there. My muscle memory is getting used to all these buttons I got to push.
Yeah,
now.
he's used to switching between three people.
But guys, this is exciting, and you can actually see it in the background. He's behind me. Everything's gonna get moved around here soon. I'm waiting for more stuff to come in the mail, but
It's two camera angles.
gonna be
with the
really
delay.
exciting.
Yes, he gets two camera angles.
Yeah.
You can see him. You can see the camera behind Smay. We're about to do a massive rework of this set, guys, and we are really looking forward to it. Just think about how far this channel has come in the last year. Like, drop a 1 in chat if you were following this channel a year ago today, and then drop a 2 in chat if you remember that and you're like, wow, this has been crazy. The reason that this channel has grown so much is not only because of you guys, but also because of the fantastic and amazing and wonderful and cool team that we have. So shout out to all of our team members. Like
speaking of shout outs,
let
me go ahead and shout out some fancy smancy members. I'd like to shout out April Sue, Army Piper, and Alan Carey.
Woo!
I love you guys. You're the best. You're the best. Woo! Woo!
Let's go.
All right, back to it.
All right, back to it. That was kind of weird. Guys, we got a lot of stuff coming up. We're going to be talking and reviewing. We're going to be reviewing. We're going to be reviewing some of these super chats a little bit later. And like I said, we're also going to be looking at Solana here in about 5 minutes. And then later on in the show, we are also going to be taking a look at MATIC and Binance Coin. But before we get into it, I do want to mention that today's show is brought to you by two different sponsors that go together. LuxAlgo is launching a lifetime membership sale. This time, it is higher priced. You missed out if you wanted to get that lower price, but it has come back. So if you missed out the first time, it's still a good deal. LuxAlgo, as you will see in today's episode, is an incredibly helpful indicator. And just so you know, to use LuxAlgo, you have to have TradingView Premium, and we actually just became an affiliate with TradingView Premium. So if you use the link down below to sign up for TradingView, you will not only be getting TradingView, which is literally necessary. It's like you need a hammer to be a carpenter, you need TradingView to be a trader. If you sign up with the link down below, you're going to be helping to support our channel. So I'm looking forward to jumping into the show and using both of those in today's show. But let's go ahead and jump straight into our market polls. Let's take a look at what the market's been doing over the last 24 hours. We're going to take a look at the top 10 biggest gainers, losers. Bitcoin is up 1.21% over the last 24 hours. Ethereum's up 0.5%. So too is Binance Coin. We're going to be looking at all three of those today over on their charts. And we're also going to be taking a look at Solana. How about that, guys? We're going to look at the top 4 non-stable coin cryptocurrencies. We're going to cover all of them in the next hour and 10 minutes. Got a lot to talk about. Looking at the last 24 hours, some of the biggest gainers are XDC Network, Elrond, which is interesting because T-Shroom, who now has a camera, actually uses eGold. Are you excited to be that Elrond has rallied?
A little bit. It has been a thorn in my side. I mean, the recent bullishness has been nice, but the MER network is not. It's not.
Is it back up right?
It's up, but it's like less than 50% APY, which as a millennial crypto boy, I need higher than 50% APY.
Yeah, well, what was it before? It was like over 1,000%, wasn't it?
Oh, it was crazy wacky with the in the MEX pool, but I think people were expecting at least 75 ongoing because that's what Cakes the Pancake Exchange one is, so we'll see.
Well, drop a 7 in chat if you'd like to hear more about staking, because that's something that T-Shroom specializes in, and we'd be more than happy to make some content around that. Avalanche is up 12%, which I'm happy about because I actually just bought some AVAX down around, I want to say $86 off to check on that. Waves is up around 10% as well, and the reason I'm so excited about these top 4 biggest gainers in the top 100 over the last 24 hours is because it means the market's moving. It means that we're actually seeing some bullishness. For the last week or so, the market has been so unbearably boring that the biggest gainer has been a stable coin for pretty much the entire time. I remember, what was it? Today's Wednesday. I think it was Monday that 2 of the 3 biggest gainers in the last 24 hours were stable coins. That's just sad. Like, come on, guys. Looks like people are starting to regain their confidence. Dogecoin's the biggest loser. That's how you know it's going to be a good day whenever Dogecoin is down. But if we go ahead and jump, what's up?
Just a oof.
Yeah, it's rough, but
Dogecoin,
you know, we just got to be honest here, guys. Dogecoin has no real value. I mean, I'm not trying to hate, but I kind of am trying to hate.
To be fair, they had a nice rally the other day, and so what goes up must come down.
Yes, so that's the way that goes. It is true. They did have a big rally here in the last 7 days. You can see it right there. But let's go ahead and jump on over to Solana, because I know a lot of you guys are in Solana. Give me a 4 in chat if you are in Solana, because Solana is the 4th non-stablecoin cryptocurrency by market capitalization. Essentially, what we're seeing happen on Solana is that there is some long-term bearish RSI divergence on the daily chart, which you can see right here, with this uptrending level of support resistance, this downtrending level of resistance, and then out on the weekly chart, we actually see the exact same thing. There is bearish RSI divergence showing up out here as well, and we have a bearish MACD cross that's come into play on the MACD. So Solana is set up for kind of a reckoning over the next couple of weeks. It's already had a good portion of it, though, come to pass. If you take a look at the top to the bottom, it hit all-time high on the 7th of November. It's pulled back 43% from $263 down to $148. I talked about a week ago how the bottom for Solana was probably going to be around $150, and if it dropped down there, it wouldn't be a bad idea to set this as your first buying opportunity to try and dollar cost average the bottom. I do have a slight feeling that Solana is going to drop below 150. I'm not totally confident in this bottom for reasons that I'll show you in just a second, but I do think we're getting into buying territory. You might say, Jebb, why would you say buy around $150, which, by the way, is not financial advice, when you also say that it could drop below $150? What gives? Why would you say that? That doesn't make any sense to me. I totally understand. Let me explain. I don't know that it's going to drop below $150. Anyone who tells you they know what a market is going to do is either one, lying, or they're a massive whale who has the ability to manipulate it. I am neither, and I do believe that Solana will break below $150, but I can't say that for any certainty. I can say that with likelihood, but I can't say that with certainty. But the reason that I do believe that we're going to break below $150 is because this bounce above 150 kind of sucked. What do I mean by that? We started this correction, I should say, on the 12th of December at $177. We pulled back down to 150, and we only rallied back up to 170. We actually only we had $7 more to go before that recent high. And looking down here on the 4-hourly chart, you can even see the last couple of hours we've had a bit of a correction. So I think that this was a false bottom, and we are going to go lower. But for the sake of trying to dollar cost average the bottom and trying to be safe and conservative, I do think it's a decent idea to go ahead and buy a little bit and then maybe buy some more on some of these other levels of support. Speaking of levels of support, I could see it going to $130 next, as that is a level that we set up as support back here in September and October, and I do believe that we have a decent amount of VPVR support starting to drop off down there. So I think that this $130 to $150 region would be a decent level to be purchasing some Solana on a dip. And like I said, guys, it could go lower. The issue is that Solana is relatively centralized. It's a very fast-moving cryptocurrency, and it does have a lot of tools for developers. And a lot of people like it. There's a lot of investment going on in it. But I would caution you that it jumped very quickly into the top 5. And whenever a cryptocurrency jumps very quickly in the top 5, it can sometimes fall out of the top 5 very quickly. So I'm not saying it's going to happen. Just want to make sure that you guys are comfortable with the fact that it could have a relatively decent drop. Anyway, if you're enjoying today's stream, smash that like button. We've got a lot to talk about. We're going to talk about Bitcoin here in about 10 minutes. Before that, we're going to jump into our super chats. But before we even get into that, we're going to take a look here at a couple of different interesting news stories. The first one here is this. Actually, I take that back. We're going to look over here at Solana. Solana Ventures Forte Griffin invested $150 million in blockchain gaming. Blockchain gaming is something that I have intentionally not looked into that much because I've talked about this before. I've pulled away from video games because I find myself enjoying them too much. I want to focus on building this company, building cryptocurrency. So I've stepped away from video games so that I can focus on crypto. But now blockchain gaming is becoming a huge thing, so we're going to have to figure out how I'm going to handle that. But the fact of the matter is there is a lot of investment going on here. I'm not going to jump too much in detail here, but I'll also mention that this is interesting. This article is not on CoinDesk or Cointelegraph. This is on Reuters. If you don't know who Reuters is, Reuters was founded in, I believe it was 1851 by a man with the last name Reuters. I'm blanking on his first name. They've got 3,500 journalists around the world. They're one of the largest media organizations on the planet, and they're talking about not just Bitcoin, which makes front page news in traditional media all the time, but they're also talking about Solana, which is number 5 on CoinMarketCap. So that's pretty huge. Kind of speaks to that level of adoption that we're seeing in cryptocurrency. We can also look at this over here. I'm just going to read this headline. This is something that you might find interesting with Solana. Twitch co-founder Justin Kan launches gaming NFT marketplace on Solana. Gaming NFTs are a big deal because blockchain gaming and NFTs are going to be one of the big ways that Bitcoin and cryptocurrency is actually utilized. NFTs are the what we're seeing really take over the year of 2021. If you were to name the year of 2021 in cryptocurrency, you'd probably name it the year of the NFT. I personally think next year is going to be the year of the blockchain gaming. That's something that Joel over on Around the Blockchain on Monday said, and I fully agree with him. I do think that next year is going to be the year of blockchain gaming, and NFTs are going to play a major role in that. But let's go ahead and move into our first intermission here. We're going to check in with the chat. We already got a couple super chats we want to look at. Stay tuned because we're going to be looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, some altcoin snapshots, some more community discussion. But first, let's check in with you guys. How you doing?
Yeah, let's see what we got here. Stronk Buddy, I want to make sure I read that right.
Stronk Buddy.
Stronk Buddy said, "Hi Jebb team. If inflation is rising so much," so this is, go ahead and jumping right on into the topic we're going to talk about later.
Yes.
But if inflation is rising so much so fast, how can I invest in it? Question just for fun.
Invest in it? What's it? What's the pronoun we're working with there?
Good question.
I'm not sure. How can you invest
You
in
want to
inflation?
invest in the inflation, I guess.
You want to
I don't
invest
know.
in the inflation? Short the dollar. I don't know how to do that, but go for it.
No, I think.
Well, no, you can short the dollar.
I think it's not invest in it as in like invest in the inflation. How can I invest during inflation? What would
How
be
can
the
I
wise-
invest in it? I think that's what he's saying. I think he's saying that, or she, I think it's he though, is saying that how do you invest during inflation? So here's the deal with inflation. If a currency is inflating, the best thing you can do is move to just about anything else. So real estate is a good idea. Bitcoin is a good idea. Even gold right now. I'm not investing in gold because I'm investing in Bitcoin. I think Bitcoin is the next gold. I think it's the new gold. All of those things maintain a property that the US dollar does not. And it is a, what is it? I can't spell. A 6-letter word. It's called scarce. Bitcoin, real estate, and gold is scarce. They're not mining much new gold. And last I checked, they're not making any new land except in the South China Sea, but we're not going to go there. Bitcoin is very, very slowly being created. So these resources, these assets, these commodities have a property called scarcity. The US dollar does not. So if you want to invest during inflation, it's not a bad idea to try and get out of the US dollar into something that maintains the property that the US dollar does not have.
Gotcha. Moving on, we have one from JEA. So it's a J then space EA. Otherwise it'd be G or J. I don't know. Hey, can you guys talk about the graph? Love the show. Thank you.
So the interesting thing is you're either talking about Hedera, Hegraph, I still don't even know how to pronounce it, or you're talking about Unigraph. There's two different cryptocurrencies. I'm not sure which one you're talking about, but if you're talking about the one that I think you're talking about, GRT, then I have not looked into it in too much detail, but I am working on learning a lot more about these smaller cap altcoins. You probably noticed in the last month we've expanded more into talking about Avalanche, MATIC, Chainlink, Solana, all these different things. So I'm working in that direction, but I still got some learning to do. I cannot give you any information on that one because I haven't looked into it yet.
All right. Let's see. We have one that just came in from Micah Cheney saying, what would the charts look like as the bear market starts if we get one? How can you differentiate between that and the short-term corrections?
It's a great question, and it goes back to the foundation of technical analysis, which, by the way, guys, let's get those likes up. Whenever you hit that like button, it helps YouTube to promote us in the algorithm. If you're finding this content helpful, someone else might as well. How do you differentiate between a bear market and a correction? Great question. Going back to the 1910s with the two major stock indexes at the time called the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which is still around, and the Dow Jones Rail Average, many different traders and investors developed something called the Dow Theory. And in Dow Theory, it postulates and theorizes that there are 3 different types of markets. There are primary markets, secondary markets, and tertiary markets. The primary markets that you find are bull markets and bear markets. The secondary markets are your major upswings, major downswings. Right now, we're in a secondary downtrend during the primary bull market. I would argue that we have not exited the bear market. We have not exited the bull market into a bear market. And then, of course, you have your tertiary swings. Those show up down on like the daily chart. You're looking at these little minor fluctuations in price that you really need to look at like the 4-hourly chart to get a good view on. The question is, are we moving from that primary movement, the bull market, into a primary bear market? I would say no, and the reason is this. The way that you spot that transition, going back to the 1910s when this was being developed, and it's true to this day, is you look for a drop-off in retail investor interest. And I can just go ahead and show you really quickly a tweet from Willy Woo that we're going to jump into a little bit later. I'll pull it forward in the show here just to show you why we're not in a bear market. Remember what I just said. The definition of a bear market, one of the definitions of a bear market, because it is subjective, is a declining in retail investor interest. Take a look at this tweet over here by Willy Woo. This tweet says this: the last time retail bought the dip this hard was at the bottom of the March crash last year. And if you look at this chart, you can see retail accumulation, which is basically referring to 7-day change in coin balances of holders less than 1 Bitcoin, is at record all-time highs. That tells me that people are buying this dip harder than they bought the dip 6 months ago. So I don't think that we're going into a bear market. On-chain metrics like this will tell us that, and we will keep you guys up to date on those metrics as we continue with our show. Great question.
Let's see. We have. Let's do one more for right now.
Let's do one more.
Get back to some other ones. This one is from 8080A.
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 Love that.
It's an interesting question. I proofread this one because I wasn't sure what it was talking about. I don't know even what the show is, but it sounds interesting. But they asked, will you be doing a cameo on Super Doge, the crypto cartoon show with Crypto Wendy? I feel like they could use your unique NFT personality to gear the show up to the next level.
I've never heard of the
I didn't even
show,
know she was doing that. Yeah.
But if Wendy is doing a show called Super Doge, I would love to be on her show.
Funny.
I think old Window is great. I think Wendy O is hilarious. I would consider her a friend. She's good. I've invited her to our office if she's ever in town. Heck yeah. Cool. Well, let's go ahead and put a pause on that. We're going to come right back to those super chats here in a little bit, but we're going to spend about 15, 20 minutes diving into Bitcoin, and we're also going to look at some headlines. We will be jumping into our next intermission at 10:08 sharp, but let's go ahead and jump straight on to Bitcoin. We got a lot of TA to run through here, guys. We want to make sure you are up to date, that you are educated, and you are informed on what's going on in the crypto markets. And one of the ways we do that is by covering Bitcoin every single day. So let's go ahead and jump into it. Now, remember to the super chat that we read earlier, primary, secondary markets. Primary market that we've been in ever since March is a primary uptrend. We have not broken that trend by setting lower lows below the major low that we saw back in July. That was difficult to say, but I think I got it. But the primary movement is to the upside. We're in a secondary downtrend. This is why I'm saying we're not in a bear market. Look at this tiny little downtrend in comparison to this giant uptrend. On-chain metrics tell us we're not in a bear market. But let's zoom in and figure out where the bottom is, because if we're not in a bear market, theoretically the bottom is relatively close, right? I think so. One of the first things I want to show you happens on the daily chart MACD. Daily chart MACD is incredibly important because it helps us to understand whenever we are moving into a secondary movement. The daily chart MACD is not used to tell you when you're going into a primary movement, a bull market or a bear market, but it is used to help inform you when you are reversing in a secondary movement from a secondary uptrend to a secondary downtrend. Right now, we're in a secondary downtrend in reference to the primary uptrend, which is the bull market of 2020 and 2021, which I think will extend into 2022. However, looking at MACD, I'll be brief on this because we mentioned it in every show for the last 4 shows, but it is coming closer. You can see we are consolidating and converging here on MACD, which remember, MACD stands for moving average convergence divergence. We're looking for convergence and divergence. We are converging what? Not bearish, we're converging bullish. We converged bearish up here to a bearish cross. We're converging bullish down here to a bullish cross, likely relatively soon. There's 2 outcomes that can happen here. Either one, we will have the second lowest bullish MACD cross in the history of Bitcoin, which will almost certainly be followed by a major rally on Bitcoin as retail traders and institutions alike gain more confidence that the bottom is in. I think that probably will happen in the next couple of days, but we could also see, on the flip side, this happen over here where Bitcoin has another major drop and then we go lower. Either way, it's bullish except with different time frames. If we have this bullish MACD cross right here, it means we're likely going to spring and the rest of December could be relatively bullish. We might push up above 50,000, maybe not to 60, 70, but we might have a little bit of bullish momentum start to come in and have a rounding bottom. But if we do fall off the metaphorical cliff again and push lower, guess what? That just means that the trampoline is going to be stronger. So think about the MACD, think about the RSI like a trampoline. The further down you push yourself into the trampoline, the more power you're going to have to explode out of it. That's what we're looking at right now on MACD. If it goes lower, good, because I'll buy more. Actually, I already have a ton of Bitcoin, so I probably won't. But if I wanted to buy more Bitcoin, and I didn't already have 70-something% of my net worth in Bitcoin, or in crypto, I would be looking to buy more down there, and I would encourage you to look for that. I'm not going to tell you what to do with your money, though, because I am not your financial advisor. However, we do have an interview with our financial advisor coming out on Saturday, which you will be getting real, actual, genuine, for real financial advice. So make sure to stay tuned for that. Saturday is going to be an interesting day. Our CPA will be coming on the channel. But as far as the other technical indicators I want to show you, taking a look here at RSI, you can see we pulled all the way down to 30. It's very important. I broke this down yesterday. I'll be brief. We've only pulled down to 30. I said 40. We've only pulled down to 30 5 times in the last 2.5 years, and whenever we do, a major rally generally ensues. So that's a good sign. We're trying to set a bottom in play here, and I'd actually love to see an inverse head and shoulders pattern show up here on the RSI. It's going to take time, but if it does happen, then we will be good. Taking a look here at Bollinger Bands, you can see we're also starting to kind of curve away from the Bollinger Bands. We're not riding them and bouncing on them as hard as we were. We're starting to curve away. That is a very, very good sign. We want to see that happen. I want to see an inverse head and shoulders pattern be put into play here on Bitcoin, because that would propel us up to $70,000 in January, which I do think is very much in the cards, and I might even venture as far to say as it is likely. Now, one thing that I want to bring Tim in here for is the fact that the volume, despite this major drop, is still at one of the highest levels that we've seen it at, even looking at the moving average in the last several months. Tim, what do you think that means? Do you think the bottom's not in, or do you think that means that people are buying the dip?
No, I think that it has to do, I think I said this on the show the other day, I think it has to do with the heavy onslaught of institutional manipulation happening, because volume is just measuring money in, money out. That's all it's doing. So right now, we're at the highest we have been since the last time we were heavily convinced that the market was heavily being manipulated by institutions. So to me, that's even further confirmation. But what I'm looking at right now is, it's hard to see because volume is still not necessarily anything astronomical, but look at the peaks every single time we come down. This is what I'm looking for. I think that the bottom is relatively in. And when I say relatively, I mean, I think that there probably will be another wick that goes below. We have a strong level of support right now at 46,200. I do think we'll have wicks go below there. And then the last thing we will see is a couple of candle bodies close below it, starting our spring, but that only leads to a bigger rally. And what you're going to see is, as we continue to see this price bounce and bounce and bounce and bounce, I want to see us get back down to that level of around 46,200 with low volume. What that says and communicates to the whales and the institutions trying to manipulate it, hey, we have shook everybody out. The only people buying and selling right now are us. So let's stop wasting our time and let's just go ahead and buy and raise this price up.
So you'd say we're probably 7 to 10 days away from the bottom.
I don't know if I could, at this point, give it a day. Because, again, my belief is that we are not necessarily in phase C yet. I think we're in phase B of what the accumulation phase is of Wyckoff. And I think that we need to see a little bit more price action happen. It is possible if we go into phase D quickly, and phase D is where we actually see things get really exciting. We get that really low drop, that spring, and that explosion. This is a very, very, very short Wyckoff accumulation phase, and it would probably also mean that we're not going to see that much of a rally. I actually really want to see this last for probably at least another week or two, week and a half to 2 weeks, to really, really, really bring in the accumulation. Let the people buy up, let the institutions buy up. And that sounds funny, Tim. Why would you want the institutions to continue to manipulate? The truth is because that's where all the money is right now. Eventually, retail investors will get wise. They'll buy all the dips, and then we'll continue to gain power away from the whales. But for right now, we are sucker fish riding those whales up to higher prices. So I want to see them be happy and them get ready for a price. And I think if we accomplish this really quickly right now, I would not be surprised if it slows down. I know we're already kind of in a phase where we're slowing down this bull run, but it would slow it down even a little more.
So let me ask you a final question, then we're going to move into Market Cipher here. Do you think we're going to have an uptrend for all of our Christmas dinners so that we can tell all of our families, hey, look, the bottom's in, now's the time?
Well, like I just said, we could, because we got, 10 days? I think it actually, as much as nobody wants to hear this, I actually think it could be a good thing for us to continue this accumulation.
I would agree.
Through Christmas.
I would agree. I would totally agree.
To the end of the year, to January, and then let's look at January. Let's look at that first week of January for a spring potentially to happen. This is not me predicting this, by the way, guys. This is my hoping. This is me wishing this into the Bitcoin price. I would love to see that spring the first week of January. That means we had a lot of accumulation happening. We had a lot of shakeouts. We had a lot of determination and an understanding from those institutions. This is as low as we get. Like right now, we've only tested bottom numbers 3 times. That's not really convincing that this is really the bottom. When we test it 4, 5, 6, 7 times, is when they're like, all right, guys, the retailers,
they're not letting us go any lower. That's
like,
what happened at $30,000. The institution said, okay, well, we couldn't push it any lower. We couldn't get any better buys, so we're just going to moonshot it. And then it rallied 80% in a month. If you think manipulation doesn't happen, I can guarantee you it does. What I can also tell you is that people try and find manipulation behind every single corner, and we're not trying to do that here. But I do believe that there is a lot of whale activity going on right now. You can look at it over on Whale Alerts on Twitter. If you take a look here at the VPVR, though, because I do want to make sure that we know where those support levels are, I want you to keep in mind that there is a lot of VPVR support beneath us, especially in the zone that we're sitting at right here in the mid-40s. And I will tell you guys, like I said, if those whales keep trying to test this floor and we don't hold firm as the bulls and we freak out and we start selling, you know what's going to happen? They are going to manage to drop the price down to 40 to 42,000. If that happens, you heard it here first. Don't be surprised. Be buying, because I do think that we are not going to see a sub $40,000 Bitcoin again. I think there's maybe a 10 or 15% chance we see that. It's very low.
And I think if that'd be a wick.
I think it'd be a wick too.
Yeah.
No, I would agree with you. I would totally agree with you. I could see us. I would agree. With that said, though, let's go ahead and look at market cipher here. We're going to run through it pretty quickly because we've already talked about a lot of it recently. But on the daily chart, there's quite a bit of things, quite a bit of very important things going on. You can see the money flow is continuing to push down, and it's actually accelerating its drop. So I am paying very close attention to this money flow. It has not changed yet. It has not started to round. So I can't tell you if it's going to round like this, or if it's going to round like this, or if it's going to round like that. But however it does end up rounding, when it starts rounding, that is going to be one of the early warning signs that we're close to the bottom. It hasn't happened yet, but we're going to pay attention to it. You can also see the momentum is starting to push to the upside here. It's not moonshotting, though, as we saw right over here. What does that tell us? That tells us that we are more than likely stabilizing around a level of support, which if you look at the price action, then that's exactly what we're doing. Essentially what this is telling us is that this market is attempting to move into an uptrend, but it has not happened yet. And if we do start going into a big uptrend and we start to see money flow turn around and we start to see RSI push to the upside, then this momentum is also going to be right there along for the ride. With that said, though, let's go ahead and look at Lux Algo. And like I said, guys, Lux Algo is a sponsor of our channel. If you sign up with the link below, use coupon code Jebb, you get 20% off. They have a lifetime sale running right now through the end of the year, so you got a little bit more time than last time. Make sure you sign up for that. The price has gone up, and I don't know, but I don't think you'll ever get it at this price again. If they do this again, it's probably going to be at an even higher price, so make sure to get it now before it runs out. And also, as I said, Lux Algo has to have a paid TradingView account, so if you sign up for TradingView down below, you'll also be helping to support the channel. Anyway, let's take a look at Lux Algo here because it has some very interesting things to tell us. I'm going to be brief here because we've looked at it quite a bit recently, though. I'm going to turn on the rest of Lux Algo here in just a second, but I do just want to point out how it's performed in the last 6 to 12 months because I want you guys to be able to be confident in the indicators that you are using. If you take a look here at just the buy and the sell signals, and remember, we don't just look at buy and sell signals. We look at buy and sell signals in corroborating with the Lux Oscillator and collaborating, I maybe should say, with the trend catcher. But just looking at the buy and sell signals, you can see that there was a good sell signal here, good sell signal here, good buy signal here, good buy signal here, good sell signal here. These three, these two, this one and this one were invalidated because we didn't get confirmation, and then this one actually did call this little bit of a drop. So just a little bit of historical analysis so you can trust an indicator. It's always a good thing, no matter who's promoting what, no matter what indicator you buy. I don't care if you're using MACD, I don't care if you're using volume. You need to do historical analysis. That is the same for an indicator that we are an affiliate with. That is the same for an indicator that is like Bollinger Bands. No matter what you look at, you need to look back in history and see if it actually works.
Another thing I want to say on Lux Algo, because guys, I was a person, and Jebb can attest to this. There were times before I fully learned it, I was frustrated with it. I remember telling him, I was like, man, sometimes I don't think these buy and sell signals are great. You know, they seem like they're too late. That's when we met Sean, the CEO, and he explained, and he was educated me on what Luxalgo is. And now, while I love it so much for when I want to enter trades, is because he talked about that trend catcher. That trend catcher turns colors, and then a little later you see a confirmation of a sell or a buy. You shouldn't wait for a buy or sell signal. You should be watching those trend catchers. You should be watching the colors of the candles. Use the whole thing in his package. Don't just look at buy or sell and go. That was Sean's big warning. If all you do is that, you might not always be that profitable.
Yeah, absolutely. Make sure you're using everything, and that's why we not only try to bring you information on the crypto markets, we also try to bring you education on the crypto markets, because this is a very technical show, but we want to make sure we break it down for you. What, you like that?
The puns.
The puns, dude. We got to do it. That was a knee slapper. I'd slap my knee, but I got a desk in the way. Let's go ahead and keep going here with Luxalgo, guys. As I've told you, going to be brief on this because it's the same thing as it has been the last 3 weeks. I really want to show you the 4-hourly chart. We're in a confirmed downtrend. How do we know it's confirmed? Because we have a sell signal combined with the Lux oscillator being red, combined with the trend catcher being red. You can see this strong sell signal over here. Excuse me, this strong buy signal over here was invalid because we didn't have trend catcher turn red. This one was valid because it was just continuing this guy, and the downtrend actually started right over here. So that's how you want to read that. You want to make sure you're reading it the correct way. That's the strategy that I have found to be most effective. But the thing I really want to show you here shows up on the 4-hourly chart. And after I say this, we're going to move into a couple different on-chain metrics. One of them I've already teased to you. As we talked about yesterday, right now we are exceptionally far below the trend catcher here on Luxalgo. That is very important because, as Tim pointed out recently, he pointed this out yesterday, the farther to the downside you are below that trend catcher, the harder, the stronger the bounce is likely to be. So I'm actually going to turn off everything from Luxalgo except the trend catcher. I'm even going to turn off the buy and sell signals. Let's just take a look at the trend catcher here. That's this red line and green line. The last time that we saw, let's just zoom out a little bit here on the 4-hourly chart. The last time we really saw the market be this far below the trend catcher was not even right here, but even when we were this far below it, look at how hard we bounced. The last time that we really saw the market this far below the trend catcher, I would say was back over here during September. We saw a pretty large rally. That rally was actually 10%. It doesn't look that huge when we zoom out, but it is pretty significant. And then before that, the last time we were that low was right over here. And this one is the only really comparable low compared to where we are right now. We were a full 10% below it. We ended up seeing an 80% rally after it because trend catcher gave us that idea that we are overextended to the downside by quite a bit. And I do think that that is the case. With that said, we're going to move on here to some market headlines. I want to, we're going to move on to some Twitter's posts here that are very interesting. This one over here by parabolic_Matt, Matthew Highland on Twitter, is showing the percentage of Bitcoin supply in profit. Now, this is kind of a technical chart. You might want to pause the stream and just kind of look at this for a second just to kind of understand what's going on here. But essentially what this line is showing, you can see the price action chart of Bitcoin below. Essentially what this line is showing us is bullish RSI divergence, except without RSI, it's with percentage of Bitcoin supply. I don't know if you can see it off screen over here, but in the tweet he says, on-chain Bitcoin percent supply in profit is seeing huge bullish divergence, as we would read bullish RSI divergence. Less percentage of people are in profit compared to the September low, yet we're setting higher prices. So let me break this down for you briefly, because this is actually extremely important. If you look at the number of people that were in profit at the very bottom, $29,000 back in July, where were they? 65% of people, you can see the y-axis is right over here, 65% of people were in profit at $29,000. Now at $40,000, 70% of people are in profit. What does that mean? That means that people have bought and sold and reset their average entry price higher and higher, which raises the foundation of Bitcoin. If everybody in Bitcoin bought in at $10, then we would be at a very shaky foundation, because at any point someone could sell because they're up 10,000%, 100,000%. But if people are in less profit because they bought more recently, then that helps us to solidify the foundation that we are currently sitting on top of. So this is very important. Again, this one is one that might be a little bit technical, might be a little hard to understand. Nothing, no shame in pausing this here and just kind of wrapping your mind around what we're looking at. Now, I also do want to mention this again. We talked about this in the Super Chat segment earlier, but I'm going to mention it again because it's very, very important. How do we define bull markets and bear markets? Retail investor interest is one of the main ways we do that. What is the retail doing right now? According to Willy Woo's chart here, which I believe this is a Glassnode chart, it might be Crypto Quant, this data is showing us that the number of wallets holding less than 1 Bitcoin, which is generally speaking going to be the retail trader, because if you're holding more than 1 Bitcoin, you're getting into like the Dolphin Club, and you're starting to get you might still be retail, but probably 90% of what we would call retail has less than $100,000 in crypto, and probably less than 50,000 of that in Bitcoin, which Bitcoin's worth roughly $50,000 right now. So this metric basically tells us what the retail is doing. The number of wallets holding Bitcoin with number of wallets holding Bitcoin that have less than 1 Bitcoin has increased dramatically, much more than we saw at 29K. So what's the takeaway here? The takeaway here is that people are buying the freaking dip, and they are buying it hard. Now, a lot of people realize that Bitcoin's price is so far below where it should be right now because of all of the on-chain metrics that we have, all of the technical developments, all of the money staked on Ethereum, all the money staked on... So you guys got to realize there's almost $300 billion locked in DeFi project and decentralized applications right now. That kind of growth that we've seen in the last year necessitates a massive rally on Bitcoin. It necessitates it. It must happen because there's so much money in the cryptocurrency market that just by the very nature of how this works, that money is going to flow into Bitcoin so long as people still see Bitcoin as valuable and number one. And by the way, they do. So be very excited about the next 3 months on Bitcoin. Don't get FOMO, but I am trying to make sure that you're still confident in the fact that we're in a bull market because we have zero reason to believe that we're not. Tim, we're gonna move on here to some market headlines. Actually, all three of you, I'd love to hear 15-second answer. Do you think that there is any credible reason to believe that we are exiting a bull market right now? Let's start with Tim.
Nope. That's it. That's all I got.
Cool. T-Shroom.
Nothing is clear to me that would signal that fact.
What about you, Smay?
Ask the question one more time.
Are there any credible reasons that you know of to believe that we're ending the bull market anytime soon?
No, because we're in a turtle market.
That's fair. We are in a turtle market.
No, but seriously, no. We're definitely not going into a bear market right now.
There you go.
It would be the ugliest bear market of all time.
It'd be a really
the ugliest top
It'd be a pretty ugly bear
of a
market.
bull market of all time.
It would
A
definitely
bear market that's not that bearish. You know?
a bear it'd be a kind of bear market, which is, that's just sad. Like if we're gonna go into a bear market, at least let's have some confidence in it, right? Let's go ahead and move on here. What we're gonna do here is we're going to go through a couple of headlines. We're gonna move into our intermission. We're gonna jump into Ethereum, and from there we'll be talking about the Fed. The first headline I want to read to you here is this, and I'm gonna throw this one over to T-Shroom here in just a second because it's pretty interesting. Crypto lender Ledin, that is the most 21st century millennial software company name I think I have ever seen. It's supposed to be Lin, but they switched it because there's probably a trademark or a domain issue there. Raises $70 million in Series B round. Ready's Bitcoin-backed mortgage product. I'm just going to go ahead and jump down here and read this. With its Bitcoin-backed mortgage loan, Ledin clients will be, I have no idea how to pronounce that. If we're supposed to pronounce it Lend, I don't know. I need to see their brand book. Ledin clients will be able to purchase real estate and use an equal amount of Bitcoin and property collateral as a part of the mortgage loan. They intend to make the product more broadly available to clients in the U.S. and Canada early next year. T-Shroom, why is this important for adoption of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency?
Well, there's the biggest investment that most people will make in their lifetime is purchasing their own home, right? So it's a huge expenditure, and they pay for it over a series of years. They usually don't pay for it in cash up front. So you being able to collateralize your crypto to entice the bank to give you money to buy a home is extremely attractive, and it's great for the crypto markets because people don't need to liquidate their BTC and get into USD in order to enter into a mortgage, which if you can't do that, then that's really unfavorable for Bitcoin. And I'd really be interested to see if I can keep BTC in cold storage and still collateralize.
I bet you can, and I bet what they're setting up is that there are different trusts that you can set up, and we might talk about this on the show with our CPA in the future. There are different trusts that you can, and I'm not going to go into detail on this because this tax is not advice. I'm just telling you a fact. There are different trusts and things that you can set up. There are different tax structures that you can set up where it's deferred tax, and you're able to put crypto in it, and then you're able to use that as collateral for loans. And people have done that for the sake of getting dollars out of their Bitcoin without selling it, so they don't have to pay capital gains taxes. Yep. You've been able to do that into U.S. dollars for a long time, but I have a feeling that they're going to be set up in a way. I don't know this because I'm not terribly familiar with this company, but I have a feeling they're going to set their service up in such a way where you'll be able to use tax-deferred Bitcoin that you haven't paid capital gains taxes on just yet to be able to purchase a home and use it as collateral. Coinbase and BlockFi have already proven that this is a valid business model through their lending programs, and we've seen it show up in many other places in crypto as well. So this is the logical next step. Now, we're going to read this, and this is going to lead into the rest of our discussion here in just a little bit. Bitcoin's decline suggests Fed hawkish policy is priced in. Essentially what we're looking at here is that the market of Bitcoin, and we're going to go into this more in a little bit. I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail right now because it's complicated. Essentially, what we're looking at here is that the public's stance on the strength of the US dollar has major implications on Bitcoin. So we have two charts lined up next to each other here. We have the Bitcoin price chart, and we have something called the US dollar currency index. If you want to find that, that is called DXY over on TradingView. I'll just go ahead and show you. This is called the currency, the US dollar currency index, and a lot of people use it to measure the strength of the dollar. I think it's a little bit of a scam, but it is something that people will look at. And essentially what we're looking at here is that people are seeming to have some confidence in the dollar because people are expecting that the Federal Reserve is going to raise interest rates and therefore hopefully stabilize inflation. But as we said in the title, we're going to be getting a concrete answer on that at 2 p.m. today. That is under 4 hours away, and we will be keeping you guys up to date on that. Whatever happens, I will post an update about it on Twitter, so make sure to follow me at CryptoJebb. As I said, we're going to jump more into this Fed news a little bit later, but let's go ahead and move into our second intermission here. Stay tuned because we're going to be going into Ethereum and some snapshots. We're going to be looking at MATIC, Binance. We're going to be doing a review of Bitcoin, talking about the Fed. We got a lot of content lined up. Make sure to hit that like button if you're enjoying today's video.
We have a decent amount.
I know, we do.
Decent
Thank
amount
you,
of
guys.
stuff here. So I don't remember we said this. Matt C. Donated said, "Hey guys, I know you're going to discuss MATIC. Can you explain ZK rollups, zero knowledge? I think he's saying he has zero knowledge, and why it's becoming a trending narrative. Much respect."
I will have to look more into that before I can give you an answer on that.
ZK rollups.
I have no idea what he's talking about. T-Shrimp, do you have any idea what he's talking about?
Yeah, I think we've covered it. ZK rollups. I mean, if you're not a developer, you're not going to be able to eloquently explain it.
Yeah, and I'm not a developer.
or likely understand it. So, but my understanding is just like anything in crypto. You know, the more efficient the fundamental code is, the cheaper the gas fees essentially can be. And ZK rollups, I believe, makes it to where the gas fees can be lower.
Gotcha.
I'm reading a definition here from CoinMarketCap. A zero knowledge, which is what ZK stands for,
Oh, that's
rollup.
okay. He was saying zero knowledge.
Yeah.
What it was. Okay.
A ZK rollup is a layer 2 blockchain solution that performs computations and storage off-chain while funds are held in a smart contract. So that makes sense. Essentially what it would be doing then is it would be taking most of the load off of the blockchain so that you're not spending a lot of money on gas fees or whatever the fee is for the blockchain that you're utilizing. And it sounds like that would be an efficiency solution because blockchains like Ethereum and some of the others are quite congested right now. So that's the best I'd be able to tell you off the top of my head.
It sounds tasty. It sounds yummy.
It does sound. I know. The first thing that came to mind was fruit roll-ups. I'm like, man, I want to be 8 again. I want some fruit roll-ups.
There we go.
You can still eat fruit roll-ups as an adult.
I can't.
It's not like tricks are for
I have
kids.
dignity.
You know?
No, I'm joking. I don't
Okay. All right, we're gonna keep moving on. Eric Liddell said, "Have not given in a while, so yeah. Thoughts on Adam? Really, just an excuse to send you love."
Oh, well, thank you so much. Cosmos is one that I have not been following the fundamentals on that well. The thing about Cosmos that you need to see is that its price has dropped quite a bit. It'd been pretty stable for a while. Went up to 22.35. It's dropped down to 20.75 right now. If we have time, then we might be able to do that later on in the show or tomorrow and look at that coin. But I'd want to go into more detail on that for you. So we might be able to add that into tomorrow's show.
Yo Tony said, "What are your thoughts on Ecomi?" And we've had that question a couple times. T Shroom actually has been doing a little bit of digging into Ecomi, so I might let it go straight to him. What are your thoughts on Ecomi, T Shroom?
Yeah, so Ecomi, pretty interesting project. Look like it's premium licensed digital collectibles, so NFT ring bells should be going off for you there. I don't know about this specific project. It looks fairly legit. They're listed on CoinMarketCap, but and under the ticker OMI is their coin there. The reason why this one interests me is because Beeple Crap was just on Joe Rogan.
Who?
And Beeple Crap.
Beeple, the guy who sold the $69 million Bitcoin or NFT.
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah. I wonder if he second guesses his name, if he should have gone with a different name, knowing now that
Did you
he's
say
so pop-
Beeple Crap? Yeah, you did say that. I forgot
Beeple
that was
Crap.
his website.
So yeah, and people love talking about his name. Probably
Very
one of
rich
the
guy.
reasons why he's so popular. But yeah, so just the spectacle of him being on Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan, over the last few episodes where he's had Bitcoin and crypto influencers, has consistently misunderstood what NFTs are, and his assistant is trying to explain it to
Who
him.
you said Rogan has?
Yeah, yeah,
That's pretty funny.
And in this episode, you know, it's kind of supposed to be the one where Rogan gets it, and I'm 15 minutes into it, and I'd say that Rogan has already capitulated. It sounds like he's into it now, and he wants to start a charity. And Beeple Crap is kind of going back and forth and like explaining how he could set up like these constitutions and like these
my goodness.
DAOs is what they're called, DAOs.
Decentralized autonomous organizations.
Yeah. So it's really big. Again, VV or Ikami under the ticker OMI. Probably a decent project from my initial gaze.
Interesting.
It doesn't set off any alarm bells, but I don't know if that's going to be anywhere near as like OpenSea or something like that.
There you go.
Makes sense. All right, you want to do a couple more?
Let's do a couple more. We got 3 minutes till we're jumping into Ethereum.
All right, let's see here. We were talking about ZK rollups. James Bowler gave and said Polygon and Cartesi are examples of ZK rollups.
I did not know that. That's interesting.
Let me see here. Inky said 2 p.m. What time zone? Eastern Standard Time, I presume?
Eastern.
Yes.
We're talking about
Standard
Eastern.
Time.
Yep. Eastern, the information about what the Federal Reserve decided over the last 2 days at the FOMC, Federal Open Market Committee, will be published at 2 p.m., and they will be doing a press conference to explain and take questions at 2:30 p.m.
Yep.
Liam, last one we're going to do here. Liam said, good morning to all. I've been trying to find a website showing the percentages of holders that are in profit and in loss. Does anyone know a site?
Well, I would ask Kelly, who is normally in chat, to post that because he has a site where he shows that, because we actually looked at that metric yesterday, I think it was.
Yeah.
But he's currently either on a plane or on his way here.
He landed. He texted us. He landed.
He landed?
He is driving. He will be in this
chat.
office in about 2 hours.
He's in the chat.
Awesome.
I believe
No,
he's
where'd
in
he
the
land?
chat.
He landed in Jax?
In Jax.
Oh, okay, cool.
Tim, could you?
I thought he landed in.
What was the
okay.
subject of the question?
It was so a site where they could look to see how many holders are in profit and how many are in loss.
Oh.
I believe there is a metric over on Glassnode that looks at that. We looked at that metric recently. I can tell you from memory, I believe the number of holders in profit is around 31 million right now, and the number of holders at loss is around 6.5 million. It is very much disproportionately in favor of the people in profit, which is, I made this point, I believe on Monday, I think on Monday's show, that when you have that massive disparity between the number of people in profit and the number of people at a loss, and the vast majority of people, we're talking 65, 70, 80% of people are in profit, that's actually kind of a precarious situation, because when you're in profit, you have the temptation to sell. So I actually want that number to come down. As much as it sounds weird, and I don't want this to happen to you, but for the rest of the market, who I don't know, I kind of want the number of people that are at profit to come down, hopefully because they sold in profit and they took their money and they rebought. But when you have that many people in profit, then there is a major temptation to sell, and we obviously want people to be holding. So I would like to see a lot of trading around this region to help build up that solid foundation like we talked about a little bit ago. But we're going to go ahead and jump into Ethereum here. And then we're going to check in with the chat here again in a little bit. We're going to try and get to all those super chats. Thank you guys so much for your generosity. Those super chats really do mean a lot, not only because they help the finances here. We do have a big team. We've got 16 people on staff, and we do have to make sure that we keep the lights on. That's why we have sponsors like LuxAlgo. That's why we have sponsors like TradingView, which we fully believe in and we would use every single day, even if they weren't paying us. But we appreciate those super chats even more so because they show that you guys are getting value out of this show, or else you wouldn't have felt the need or the desire to give us your hard-earned money. So thank you very much for that. It means the world. With that said, let's go ahead and move on here into Ethereum, because there are some very important things that we need to cover. The first thing I want to show you on Ethereum is the fact that there are multiple levels of support that we need to be paying very close attention to. The one right now at hand is $3,680, $3,680. And it's actually important for multiple reasons. It's not only important because it's the 38.2% level on Fibonacci, which is why we're bouncing off of it right now. We're trying to. We're going to get to that. But it's also the level that we set as support and resistance back in September and early October as the inverse head and shoulders pattern neckline. 3680 is a critical level of support for Bitcoin, for Ethereum to hold, and all of my charting just came back up. I was wondering where it went. Thank you. That must TradingView just took like 5 minutes to load all my charting. That's really weird. I've never seen it do that before. Anyway, the reason that I'm not very confident in Ethereum is because if you just zoom in here on the hourly chart, what happened? Well, I show you this, guys, every time we have a bounce. We started this correction at 4,200 bucks, pulled down to 3680. If the bears were the stronger faction, you know what would have happened? We would have V-bottomed and bounced higher than where we started. That is not what happened. Instead of V-bottoming and bouncing higher than where we started, Ethereum only managed to bounce about a third of the way back to all-time high, or back to the recent high. To get back up there would be a 14% rally. We only bounced 5.89%. So we didn't even recover half of the losses. I've told you guys, and I'll tell you again, I don't personally believe $3,700, this level that we're looking at, is going to hold. I think Ethereum is going to go lower. I'd love to hear everybody's opinion on this here on set. I think that we're going to come back down to $3,300, and I've explained why in multiple shows. Tim, I want to hear your take on that. Where do you think Ethereum is going?
So I'm looking at the chart right now to even kind of see that. And I've said it before. I thought, and I think I said this on the show the other day, I was wrong. I thought we would actually touch 5,000 before this correction. It is looking like we are hitting that correction pretty harshly right now. I think that the conservative view would be we come down and match that wick we just set at 34.92, somewhere around 34.70 is range. So 34. Let's just call it 3,400, right?
We went to 34. What chart are you looking at?
I'm looking at Bitstamp. Is that
there was a scam wick on Bitstamp then, because I don't see it.
Good to know.
Interesting. Yeah, because the wick I'm looking at on Coinbase, you're looking at the 3rd of December, right?
On Coinbase,
it goes down to 35.80.
Okay.
35.80.
So it went a little lower on Bitstamp. Either way, matching that, I think going a little lower but there's also right in that level, there's some what we used to use as resistance that obviously could turn for support right there on 35. So there's that.
Also at 39.50, if you look at that, that was a quintuple bottom, and we just basically used it as resistance in the last couple of hours. I'm showing it on my chart.
I think you mentioned this the other day, but the scarier of the options, but in reality, when you think about it, that's not crazy. It's going to be okay. We could potentially go back down all the way to 2,700. I don't think it's going to happen. I do think that Bitcoin is going to rally here in the next couple of weeks, and I think that momentum is going to be almost like a catapulted
and it's going to help
effect
Ethereum along.
that'll send everything back up. But I just would not be surprised to see somewhere between 35 to 34.
I agree. I think that we're probably going to see 35 to 30, 34 to 35. I think that's probably what we're going to end up seeing. T-Shroom, what's your take? Where do you think the bottom is for Ethereum?
I mean, it's tough to disagree with what Tim just said. It was pretty well thought out.
I would agree with him.
I mean, I honestly think it could find a bottom here at 3,600, and kind of bounce up from there. It's got some pretty strong support from the high on 15th of December, and then reinforced again on the 7th of October.
Yeah, I think that we're going to see a little bit more correction on it, and then we're going to see a bottom, probably following Bitcoin. After Bitcoin bottoms, which Bitcoin is dropping a little bit right now, I'll show you guys this because I can almost guarantee you people are saying, oh my gosh, Jebb, Bitcoin's dropping, what's going on? Yes, we are dropping. As I told you, I don't think we're going to hold this bottom. I think we're going to go down into the mid 40s on Bitcoin, and I think the same thing's going to play out for Ethereum. As I've said, I said this a week ago when I said we're probably going to see 2.5 weeks of sideways movement. It's a week on. Now I'm saying I think we're going to see a week and a half of sideways movement. I think we're going to see 7 to 10 days of sideways movement. Moving into January, I think we're going to see some bullishness, and I think that Ethereum will be the laggard of the two. I think Bitcoin will rally first, and Ethereum will probably play a week behind, as it normally does when Bitcoin is in charge. And as we talked about yesterday over on the BTC.D chart, which is the Bitcoin market dominance chart, Bitcoin right now is the one that is in charge. It is taking the power back from the altcoins because we can see it breaking bullish above this downtrending level of resistance right here. If you don't know what this is BTC.D. Let's see if I can spell. There we go. BTC.D. That chart is going to give you the Bitcoin market dominance, so you can go do some technical analysis on it. We're breaking bullish out of a falling wedge. That tells us that Bitcoin is starting to take the control back as people lose confidence in the alts. But let's go ahead and take a look at a couple of different technical indicators here, and we're going to move on into our snapshots over on MATIC and Binance. Take a look at the last 4 highs here. Lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Ethereum is setting lower highs, obviously. RSI is doing the same thing. The interesting thing about RSI is it's actually moving into a symmetrical triangle pattern. I think it's going to break bearish first, come down to around 25, and then it'll start rallying, which again will probably take place towards the end of the year. Now, let's take a look at LuxAlgo here. I'm going to be very brief on it. Like I said, guys, if you haven't signed up for LuxAlgo, you should. It's a good indicator. I use it every single day, but I'm going to go ahead and turn everything on here that I use. Bring up my confirmations and my exits. So if you want to see how I set everything up, you just saw it. There you go. LuxAlgo right now, we are in a confirmed downtrend, and the other thing I will point out is that LuxAlgo is showing us that we're very far below the trend catcher, just like we are on Bitcoin. This means that Ethereum might be getting into that oversold territory, but I don't think it's there just yet. I do think we are going to have more movement to the downside. Now, with that said, let's go ahead and move on here to some of our snapshots. We're going to take a look at MATIC, and then we're going to take a look at Binance Coin. MATIC is a cryptocurrency that you guys are always asking us about. Polygon is not a cryptocurrency that I have personally invested in yet, but based on the analysis that we're going to do, I might be looking for a setup. It's a good project. I don't have time to go into the fundamentals, but I do think it is a solid layer 2 solution to a lot of important problems in crypto. Taking a look at MATIC over here, we can see that it is currently in a very long-term uptrend and ascending triangle pattern. That's the very first thing that jumps out at me whenever I look at this. We're in a very long-term ascending triangle pattern, and this reminds me a lot of Ethereum. The interesting thing here is that I have conflicting opinions about what I think MATIC is going to do. Number one, I think MATIC is going to struggle because it has a lot of things playing against it here in the cryptocurrency market, as we've seen an anemic time in Bitcoin and crypto over the last 2 to 3 weeks. However, it also reminds me quite a bit of Ethereum. I remember when I got into Ethereum, I watched Ethereum go through a symmetrical triangle pattern after a massive rally from basically zero, and then Ethereum went up, as you can see here, 375%. MATIC looks a hell of a lot like this pattern right here. This is why it's important to do historical analysis, guys. I just so happen to have been in crypto for 5 years, so I remember these things because I used to be doing analysis on them when they were happening. When I got into crypto, I remember 2 months after I got into crypto, I got in July 31st, which is right here. I remember a month later, I saw this high, and I was just getting into TA, and my dad was driving me to school. That's how short of a time ago that was. And I told him, Dad, Ethereum's in a symmetrical triangle pattern, or an ascending triangle pattern. It's going to break bullish, and it's going to make a lot of money. Can we buy some? And he said, Dad, Jebb, no. I'm not giving you money to go throw away in crypto. He didn't actually say that, to be clear. But I did predict this rally back in 2017, and I'm predicting the same thing will probably happen on MATIC because it is a very similar looking market. You can see the similarities right here. The only thing that might stop MATIC from having a big run-up like this is the fact that it's already sitting at number 15. It's already got a $13 billion market capitalization. So if it were able to rally 200, 300% like Ethereum did, that's going to come down to fundamentals, and there's also reason to believe that it could break bearish instead, simply because the rest of the altcoin market is having a hard time. So we will keep you guys up to date on MATIC. Be looking for a major breakout, because if we do start breaking above the critical level of resistance of around $2.60 to $2.80, then if the fundamentals are there, we could end up seeing a pretty big movement. Now, we're also going to take a look at Binance Coin. And we're not going to look at the perpetual. Let me see if I have it up over here. There we go. I got it right there. Binance Coin is in a very interesting place right now. And the thing you got to remember when you're analyzing Binance Coin is that Binance, BNB, I'm going to call it, is a different player than the majority of these cryptos. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana, well, Solana maybe a little bit, but Bitcoin and Ethereum are not tied to a company. Binance is basically, I don't want to say a stock for Binance, but it might as well be. Frankly, I'm surprised the SEC hasn't gotten on Binance Coin for being a security, but of course, that's why Binance US exists. There's a lot going on with Binance, let's put it that way. I'm frankly surprised it even exists, but it does apparently have a lot of very strong smart contract features. I haven't done a lot of research on Binance Coin. I personally don't like investing in centralized projects such as it, so I have not done a lot of research on the fundamentals. I'll be the first to admit that, but what I can do is I can look at the technicals for you. The technicals on Binance actually look very similar to what I talked about on Ethereum. It looks like it's in a symmetrical triangle pattern. If it were to break bullish out of the symmetrical triangle pattern, we could easily see it rally a couple 100%. The problem with that is that if Binance Coin did rally, let's say 200%, it would go to $1,700. And if we look over at CoinMarketCap, that would put its market capitalization at $250 billion. And I don't think that Binance, the exchange, and Binance, the coin, either are worth, even collectively, $250 billion. Frankly, I'm surprised Binance is already worth $90 billion, which is why I'm not invested in it. I'm not knocking the project. I already told you I'm not the foremost expert on Binance Coin and everything that they're doing, but I do have an ideological disagreement with it, which is why you don't see me talk about it that much, but I do think that there is an opportunity here. Does anybody here have an opinion on Binance Coin that they'd like to share?
As far as the fundamentals of it?
Fundamentals, technicals, anyway, price.
So I'm looking at it, and it takes creative liberty, and it really depends on what other traders are looking at. But it is looking like it is actually in a rising, an ascending triangle.
Yeah.
That flat top is very nice. Same thing with MATIC. We were looking at MATIC. It looks like MATIC potentially is in that rising triangle or ascending triangle.
Yeah, they both are.
So from a TA perspective, I'm even looking at the RSI. I actually really like what it's doing.
I like
right now.
the TA. Yeah, in a vacuum, I like the TA.
Throw out the fundamentals. Throw out what you feel about a coin. If you're just sitting here saying, "Is this a project that could be making money?" This is what I would say. I do think we're going to come down a little bit more. I actually am going to look for it to drop somewhere to about 462, 460-ish, right? Okay. Come down and touch that ascending level of support that we've been working on for months now.
Yeah, I'm showing
that used to be a level of resistance. And then I want to see it not just break back up and hit that level. I want to see it break through and start closing some candles above this flat level of resistance at 680. If it does that, I think that Binance could be in a great spot. And as you just noted, as when you now bring in the fundamentals, there are some things about Binance that are not great. There are some things that scare a lot of people, but it does have a lot of projects on it. It does have a lot of great, what do you call them? Second tier, layer 2 solutions and layer 2 projects that are doing phenomenal. So this is one to keep an eye on because there has been negative news, but despite negative news, it has continued to climb back up to get close to previous all-time highs.
And to clarify my stance, guys, I like Binance the Exchange. I think Changpeng Zhao is a good man. I think he's a good leader in the cryptocurrency space. I think CZ over at Binance is a good leader. I think Binance is a great exchange. I personally don't like centralized coins. However, just because I don't like it doesn't mean you can't make money in it. And Binance being, I think, the second largest cryptocurrency exchange in the world right now behind Coinbase, they're competing. They're always jumping back and forth. Wherever it is, they're in the top 3. Could very well go to $250 billion. So I'm not saying that it can't go up 200% because of this. I'm not saying that Binance coin can't go to $2,000. If crypto keeps growing the way it does and Binance retains its dominance and they build infrastructure on top of Binance, then it very well could do just that. But with that said, let's go ahead and jump to T-Shroom. You have something to say?
Jump to T-Shroom. We will. I was just noticing that the money flow in BNB has not gone negative, whereas it has in Bitcoin. And I think that
interesting on daily.
On daily, correct, yeah. And I feel like that just kind of reflects the immensity of the projects that are flowing on Binance.
Yeah, absolutely.
In the gas fees, they got such low gas fees so early, and I just feel like the name is just so strong.
That name is huge. Yeah, you're right.
And the Binance Smart Chain really allows for a lot of very new and very small projects to come and be about and flourish.
Yeah, and then the other thing and last thing I'll say is look at since, let's call it the 15th of June, look at that extremely low volume as the price just continues to creep upwards.
Holy cow.
So it's just one of those things like it doesn't even need that much to explode. It doesn't. It is just chumming and it's just boom, 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 boom. With Bitcoin and Ethereum, we see these little spikes, little spikes, little spikes. There's one nice little section right here on the 13th of October where we had a nice little rally. But other than that, the volume is crazy, crazy low.
I learned something interesting yesterday, and that is all 3 of the big and you'll see where I'm going with this. All 3 of the big airlines in America have market capitalizations between $8 billion and $13 billion. So we're talking American Airlines, United, and whatever the third one is, I'm forgetting.
Delta?
But Delta, thank you very much. All 3 of those have about $8 billion market capitalizations, but they actually had to publish the numbers on the values of their of their loyalty programs when they use them as collateral to take out loans to survive what happened last year. And their rewards programs are worth between $18 and $24 billion. So their loyalty programs are actually worth more money than the company. Where am I going with this? I think it's actually a very wise idea to believe that Binance could be worth a lot more than Binance coin could be worth a lot more than Binance itself, for the exact same reason that if you take out the loyalty programs of airlines, they're actually worth negative $15 billion market capitalization. They're unprofitable without it. I think the same thing might be going on with Binance, and that's why we see things like Binance coin. That's why we see a lot of exchanges creating their own coins. That's why Crypto.com exists. If Crypto.com did not have the coin Crypto.com, then Crypto.com, the company, would be nothing compared to what it is today. Because Crypto.com, the coin, you have to hold for a certain amount of time to unlock their really, really great debit cards and cards. Same thing with Binance, you get rewards for holding Binance. So there are a lot of reasons to believe that its price could go up. I do have issue with centralization. I do have issue with the fact that that is a company that could fail, and if it does, Binance coin does as well. Yes. I guarantee you it would not survive that company going bankrupt. However, that's not to say there aren't gains to be made there. Let's go ahead and move into our final community time here, and let's go ahead and read some super chats because we got a lot of them to get through.
Yeah, we have a good amount. Juan Piedrahita said, "What do you think could happen?" Okay, I want to read this one to make sure. Juan Piedrahita, I'm actually not going to read this just because I don't know. I started it. I really should have prepared that one. I'm just not going to get into discussing other creators on YouTube.
Yeah, we're not going to do that.
Thank you for the donation, though. RJ Lee, let me make sure. Yeah, okay, so this was, he actually gave this way back when we were talking about manipulation and stuff. He just wanted to say they want the Bitcoin cheap, that's why they manipulate it. So yeah, that's
exactly.
They just want the price down to buy it. They'll make money, and that's why we say all the time, for right now, be okay with being like one of those little fish that just rides the whale. You don't need to shake your fist at the whale and be like, why are you just say, okay, this is gonna happen. I'm going to ride it.
And by the way, another point on Binance, just to kind of clarify that, because we don't talk about Binance that much. if the whales are able to manipulate the most decentralized network on planet Earth, which is Bitcoin, how much easier is it for manipulation to take place on Binance?
Yeah.
When it is literally run by a company. That's kind of the point I'm making. Again, not to say there's not gains to be made there, not to say the smart chain is not very powerful. It is. I'm just telling you to be careful. There's a reason decentralization is a core tenet of crypto.
Eye of the Beholder said Dow Jones needs to correct due to the correlation between Dow Jones and Bitcoin at this moment. Not personally gonna long until that happens.
Yeah, I wouldn't blame you. The Dow Jones Industrial Average and the S&P 500 are both up between 80 and 100% from the lows that they set last year. DJI is up, not the company, the index, is up 97% in 630 days. That is ridiculous. We needed to have a recession last year after everything that happened. It's like saying you need to, you know why the body gives you a fever whenever you get sick? Because it helps to cleanse, I want to make sure I'm not spreading medical misinformation here. It helps to fight the disease. That's what it does. So the same thing is the recessions that we go through are the same thing. They're a way to help reset and fight the disease that we're struggling with, which is hits kind of close to home right now. It's pretty funny.
All right, we have two in tandem.
Okay.
And both from other creators. So the first one's from Piano Matty B.
Hey!
Obviously from BitBoy.
Let's go.
And then the second one is Crypto Vet.
Let's go, guys.
So Piano Matty B says, I was wondering if TA Tim or Smay have any hidden rap skills.
Let's hear it. Come on.
And then Crypto Vet said they can all rap. We making a crypto album.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, oh no, maybe they wouldn't want
If
me
we
to
get to
spoil
3,000
what
likes in the
we're
next
working
minute, I will rap for you
What
guys.
really
I think they wanted to
boils
hear
down
me and Tim rap though.
If we get
Here's
to
the thing.
4,000 likes, then they will.
There are different styles of rap. We do not do what do you call it other than just spit, like the speed
rap,
the
yeah.
speed that Jebb uses. No, I don't have that talent. I don't think Smay does either.
Well,
I bet he does.
Just
I bet
wait.
he's just
you
being
can
humble.
spit.
Just wait.
You can
I
spit
bet he
that
can
fast.
spit.
yo, listen up. Here's the story about a little guy that lives in a blue world. And all day and all night and everything he sees is
I am
just
ashamed.
blue.
I am-
Like him,
I am-
inside and outside. Blue is house with a blue little window and a blue Corvette and everything. Okay.
That's not even rap. That's not even. That's just a pop song. I am ashamed to say I know how to play that song on the piano. I'm not even kidding. I actually do.
That was my rap.
Do 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 do.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, everybody. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry.
Somebody clip that and put it on Twitter and tweet it at me.
I'm not
sorry,
going to do
everybody.
that.
You look like a chicken. You're like doing the chicken dance while you're
I'm
singing.
sorry,
What the heck was
everybody.
that?
In a good way.
That was bad.
All right. Let's keep it moving. We got to talk about the Fed here in a minute.
Yeah, that. Let me see if there's anything else. No, that was it. Sorry, Crypto Vet and Piano Matty B. I don't. I think you. Decide for yourself. Can Smay rap? You know, that's up to you guys.
Tell us
Tim,
in chat.
I'm
Can
going to go
Smay
ahead and
rap?
make
Yes
the
or
call
no?
that Tim can't. So, yeah.
Really? Okay.
Again, skills. You know, anyone can talk in a rhythm.
I'm blue.
It's if you're actually good at it. And I'm going to go ahead and just say no. I'm musical. I like to sing and play guitar and stuff, but I'm not.
Greg just texted me and said he approved of
Well,
Smay's
that's
rapping.
Greg, so.
Yeah, so that means it was terrible, is what we're hearing. No, I'm joking. I'm joking. Anyway, we got to get through these super chats. I want to be respectful.
All right. That's I mean, I was scrolling to make sure there was.
We actually got through all of them?
I think that's it.
Oh crap. Okay.
I'm looking to make sure,
Cool.
but I don't see any others.
All right, good deal. Now, let's go ahead and jump into this discussion about the Federal Reserve. As I said, we are going to be getting an answer on the interest rate, hopefully getting a hike hopefully for the sake of the US dollar in the next 4 hours at 2 p.m. Eastern. We're going to be getting that answer. At 2:30, we're going to be having a press conference. Especially since we have T-Shroom set up with a mic and camera. T-Shroom, can you give us like a 60-second rundown of what exactly is happening? Set the floor for the conversation we're about to have.
I mean, what's really important is, are they going to increase the rates? It's favorable for the banks, right? Banks can then charge more for loans that they're issuing, and they can make more money. There's more margin for them to play with. But it's bad for folks who are looking to start new businesses. Fundamentally, they want to go out and start a new business. You can't get as much money cheaply as you can when the rates are as low as they are now, which is 0.25%. So the market, stock market, crypto markets are looking for that rate to maintain, and it is forecasted to maintain at 0.25.
So let me ask you this, T-Shroom. Do you think that the rate hike is priced into Bitcoin? And more importantly, do you think they're actually going to increase the rates?
It's a tough call. I read expert panels that from CNBC that were saying they are going to increase the rates.
That they are?
That they are going to
Wait,
increase.
CNN said that?
CNBC.
CNBC, okay.
But, well, a panel of experts
Gotcha.
were polled, and they do think that it would go up. So, and
Whenever CNBC puts a panel of experts together, I'm like,
I know that a lot of people think that they're experts. You know, like on this, I'm gonna go ahead and say I'm not an expert. You know, I don't think of myself an expert. That's why I'm on a
I'm
YouTube
not an expert.
channel.
I'm not an expert in the Federal Reserve, but
but I just think it's funny when they say, "Oh, we have a panel of experts."
we have
that
a
are gonna
panel of
tell you how it
experts.
goes."
We got this guy. He was digging ditches before he get. No, I'm joking.
Anyway, yeah, go ahead,
But
teacher.
the other major kind of fundamental that would go into this decision is thinking of the current administration nominated Jerome Powell for another term.
Oh, God.
And when that happens, you have to wonder if there's any kind of political motivation there. And it would be in favor of the current administration for interest rates.
You don't have to. You don't have to wonder if there's a political motivation. The answer is always yes.
Right. But I'm practicing being diplomatic with my speech.
Okay, gotcha.
So you would want if you're the current administration, you would want inflation to come down.
Yes.
Because especially if you're in the Democratic Party, because most of your voters are the ones hit hardest by inflation, because
that's true.
Prices of like the retail sector and things like that. So yeah, I mean. Said plainly, Joe Biden wants inflation lower so he can get elected. So he nominates this guy who's going to make it happen, and we'll see. It's not that Jerome Powell is more inclined to increase rates. It's that because the bargaining chip of he got to be renominated because he agreed to increase rates. I'm not saying that happened. I'm saying that you could see that could be a possibility of how he got renominated.
But it's also interesting because, yes, I think Joe Biden wants interest rates to go down because obviously the sitting president wants to get reelected. And
interest rates to go up.
Inflation to go down, interest rates to go up. Thank you very much. Because when the CPI goes up 10%, which is a bogus number anyway in the last year, that does not look good on the president, even if it's not directly his fault. But the other thing is, and this is not a political statement because both parties do this, Joe Biden and the Democratic Party, and I'm only saying them because they're the ones in power right now, want to continue printing money and continue inflating the economy. It's happened under the last 6, 7 presidents. It's a bipartisan thing. They all do it. So there's a bit of a disagreements going on right now. Like, hey, do we want rates to go up so inflation will go down so we look better, or do we want to keep spending money because the government likes screwing us over in two different ways, and they're contradicting right now. So the question I have for you, Tim, is how important is it for the cryptocurrency analyst, the cryptocurrency investor, the cryptocurrency trader to stay in tune with what's going on in the traditional markets? How connected are these? Should we be paying attention to things like oil prices, things like inflation, things like geopolitics, things like, what's going on in China, these kind of things? How much should we be following the outside world, as it were?
Absolutely, we should be following those things because they all bleed into it. Real people are the ones investing into crypto. Companies are investing in crypto. Retail investors are investing in crypto, and they're affected by all those outside things. So absolutely, they need to be followed. And I said this yesterday because we discussed this a little yesterday. They're most likely crypto will take a small hit if these interest rates rise. That's gonna happen because what's gonna happen is
confidence in the dollar will go up.
They're gonna squeeze their money a little harder.
Yep.
They're not gonna be as risk oriented, even though I believe we have 3,900 people watching here, I would believe at least the majority of these 3,900 people plus the 4 in this room are in the boat of saying we don't consider crypto as much of a risk anymore. We actually consider a risk to stay in the U.S. dollar.
Absolutely.
Unfortunately, that's not how the world sees it. That's not how these massive companies see it. That's not how the average human being in the world sees it. They're still grabbed hold of this U.S. dollar. And here's the problem, and here's the reason why they grab hold of that dollar, is because in the past, in other situations, when we've come to this spot and we've been like, oh no, we're having problems economically. Should we inflate the dollar and keep interest rates low, or should we raise the interest? We've said, you know what, let's do what feels good right now.
Yep.
And that is pretty much saying, I don't care what happens tomorrow. I don't care when I have to deal with all these problems tomorrow. I want to feel good right now. Who cares about my children and my grandchildren? I want to have a nice situation economically right now. The problem is that if we continue this cycle, we are going to destroy these things. When people say, oh, is it good for crypto for the interest rate to go up? My answer is yes. And that means not in this time frame, but in this time frame. These interest rates going up and teaching people to be more responsible with their money, to be more to have a mindset of let me save money rather than just spend it, hoping that it comes back to me. Because some people do it well. Yes, there are going to be some businesses who don't borrow as much money to start new projects, and that's okay. But do you know that most businesses, or the average business that borrows money, ends up failing? But we have a lot more debt coming back in than we do building up the economy. So I understand the thinking of, oh, let's lower the interest rates, allow people to borrow so they can build things, and let's build up the economy. But unfortunately, just look at history, look at statistics, look at the numbers. Every time we do this, we end up screwing ourselves up even more, and then we dump it on the next president or the next party, and then we tell them, all right, you fix it, and then they inflate it again, and now we have a new problem all over.
Yeah, and that has led to a phenomenon that economists call zombie companies in the last 24 months. We have seen a lot of companies that are wholly unprofitable, especially, and by the way, all three of the major American airlines, not just American Airline, all three of them almost fall into this category. There are a lot of companies out there right now that are not turning a profit, that are very unprofitable, that should be, and the only reason they still exist is because they keep borrowing money because the interest rates are so low. Here's what I think. I think it's unlikely that the Fed is going to raise interest rates, and I'll tell you why. The Federal Reserve kept interest rates at near zero throughout almost all of the 2010s. If I remember correctly, they started raising them from near zero post-2008 financial crisis around 2016, mid-2016, because when interest rates are low, it theoretically stimulates people to go and take out loans and build the economy. And the Federal Reserve right now and the sitting administration are terrified of a recession and a market crash because it'll look bad on them. That's how we got in this situation. You can kick the can so far down the road. I think they're going to kick the can again. I don't think they're going to step on the can and try and let it just, collapse so that they can rebuild it. I think they're going to kick it again. And I think that personally they're going to leave rates at zero. But I would love to hear your thoughts on that. Do you think that they're going to raise interest rates, or keep interest rates low? Do you think that they're going to pull back on QE, which is the buying of mortgage-backed securities and everything, the way that we inject liquidity and U.S. dollars into the economy? What do you think they're going to do? We're going to continue keeping you guys up to date. Check my Twitter at 2 p.m. because around that time, when we have an answer, I will tweet it out, and I will keep you guys posted there. And also, by the way, if you haven't already, make sure to go over to my Twitter. Go ahead and jump on my screen real quick, Smay. We have a pinned tweet right here, which is the trailer for this show that you're watching right now. We are trying to get this tweet to 500 retweets because we want to spread the word of coffee and crypto. So if you are enjoying this show, go hit that retweet button right here, quote tweet it, and type hashtag coffee and crypto so that we can spread the word of this show. If you enjoyed this show, that is, make sure to go and do that. And follow me over on Twitter for more great content because I am posting over there multiple times a day, giving you guys not only updates on Bitcoin price, but also updates on my personal life if you would like to learn more about that. Make sure also to sign up for Lux Algo and TradingView. You need TradingView Premium to be able to use Lux Algo, so they go well together. Both of them are affiliates of the channel. Both of them very much are supporters of the channel. We've spoken with the executive leadership at both companies, and they are both fans of the show, so shout out to them. Shout out to their companies. We're very excited to be working with them, so make sure to sign up for TradingView Premium if you decide that you need that service. I think you will. I used the free version of TradingView for over a year, but then I found having to delete and re-add indicators all day long got annoying, so I went ahead and dropped it on that. I think TradingView is a great service and is worth every one of your pennies that you will put into it. Check out both of those affiliate links down below. That lifetime sale on Lux Algo will be running through the end of the year. We got a couple of minutes here to wrap out with any other super chats that we have, Tim.
I see one right here from Kookie. Can you please cover Illuvium? I am following it closely and want to hear your thoughts. That's going to probably have to be a different show.
Going to have to wait to another show.
Yeah, and we'll look into it to see what we think about it. If we don't have an opinion, it might not come up. But if it keeps growing and does things, we'll definitely cover that one.
Well, guys, also, if you enjoyed today's show, consider hitting that like button. It helps to support this in the algorithms. And stay tuned because we got more content coming out over the week. We will be live 9:30 Eastern for the rest of the week, bringing you the most up-to-date educational and informational content in crypto. And by the way, if you want to know why you should watch this show, it's because this is the only show in cryptocurrency that doesn't try and tell you what to think. We are here to try and teach you how to think. That is what our goal is. We want to bring you the news, we want to bring you the technical analysis, while also bringing you the facts and the figures and the education and the teaching that you need to know so that you can go and do this without us, because I want your skills in TA to outlive this show. If we were to ever have to go bankrupt or something, I don't want you to have to be reliant on us. I want you to come to us to get ideas and a well-formulated show, but I also want you to be able to do your own technical and fundamental analysis on those different coins that you love so much that we don't always get a chance to cover.
We have two announcements that people need to know, and I'll let Smay announce the first one, and I'll announce the second one.
I'm announcing it?
You're announcing that one. Yes.
Guys, so this has been so far such an amazing year from January to now. I mean, I got hired in January. The show started this year, and now we're about to
Smay's push.
Yeah. Well, we're about to now go into the next year, and we're wanting to, as a team, put together the best possible content for you guys and make sure that everything we do on the channel supports what we preach every day, which is our mission and our vision and what we're trying to do. So with that being said, starting today, there will no longer be any Crypto Espresso or any afternoon videos while we are going to be hard at work to prepare new content for you guys. So it's only going to be a temporary hiatus of not doing that content. We're going to be doing the show every single morning, the same as you guys love it. But we will not be doing any more afternoon videos for a little bit, and then you'll see the content up and coming. It's going to be great. You guys are going to love it, and I'm so excited to share it with you.
You are going to be very excited for what's coming, guys.
The second announcement, we've talked about it throughout the show, but I want to make sure, especially if you joined late, Kelly Kellum he is in Florida right now.
Yep.
He is on his way to the office. He will be here tomorrow. We'll probably put him right next to T. Shroom to be on the show. He's going to be here for a couple of weeks. So it's so good. It's going to be really good to have him in-house. But make sure you guys come back tomorrow and give Kelly a very warm welcome in person. Obviously, you guys are not in person, but he'll be in person. He'll be on the set. So you don't want to miss it.
Give him a big hug
because he will add so. You guys get to see his chats all the time. You get to hear his actual opinions.
He's got skills
tomorrow. So
he's got skills. You're going to look forward to that. Like I have been telling you guys this all year. 2022 is going to be a crazy year. We got some really great content coming up, guys. We're working hard on it. That's why we put Crypto Bytes and Crypto Espresso on hold, because there's a lot of work going on behind the scenes that you guys have not seen yet. But when you do, oh man, you guys are going to love it. We're going to bring you so much great content. I cannot wait. We're going to help you become financially free because we want you guys living a purpose-driven life. And the way that you do that is multifaceted, but making sure your finances are in order is a major part of it, and that's what we're here to help you with. Anyway, guys, before I go, I do just first want to thank each and every single last one of you for watching, as always, and I will see you guys in the next video. Peace.